So today I want to talk about the ego, and we all have it running for us. We all have this little thing called the ego, and it affects our decision making, it affects our mood, it can turn you into a victim, it can make you feel superior or justify your behaviours. But the thing is, it can't be eliminated. And the reason you can't eliminate your ego is because it comes with you when you're born. It's part of your identity when you come into the world, and it's a natural thing that comes into you. So your ego is natural, it's primitive, it is your instinct, and it just reacts naturally. So it can be the thing that leads you to regrettable decisions. For instance, if you've ever done something and then the day after you've gone, oh my gosh, why did I do that? That was your ego in practice. So that was your ego taking control, and you let your ego lead the way, storm through, break down the barriers, and you didn't let your thinking mind go in. So one way that the ego is needed. You need an ego because it needs to be there to prevent things, but it's about not just reacting on it. So something that someone taught me is, if you think about whenever you make a decision, if you has everyone done the technique, like, you know, when they go, oh, take 10 breaths, and you go 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 before you react. That is because that stops the ego becoming the decision maker, and that allows your brain to function. Because what will happen is your ego will make the first reaction. So your ego will kick in, and that will make the first reaction. And sometimes your ego doesn't behave in the appropriate way and the way that it needs to behave. And you can get yourself in some sticky situations by letting your ego take control. So what you need to do is, this is where the counting comes in. So whenever you're in a situation, you count to 5, count to 10, and that stops the ego taking control of the situation. So then your thinking brain then takes control, and you make better decisions and do better things. So that's where I'm going with the ego. So I'm not saying the ego is a bad thing. We all need the ego. The ego is the thing that stops us getting hurt, or stops us getting injured. But if you go on a journey and say everything you think, like this is something I was doing the other day, everything you think comes down to, I'm going to lose my life. So if you think about, I can't do a live, I can't go on live because, and then you go, and then what? And then what? And then what? But eventually, when you get to the end, your then what will come down to, is going to affect my life. Because we're still primitive, like we've all evolved, we've all gone along, but we've still got our primitive natures, and the ego is part of the primitive nature, and it's gone along and it's evolved. So we've got the brains, and we need to let the brain take control of a situation before we let our ego take control of a situation. So how can we stop the ego controlling everything? And like I said, the counting thing. So now, if you've ever, like lots of us heard, like, it's a very good thing, like in anger management, they're like, count to 10. And one of the reasons they say count to 10 is because that stops the ego being the first thing to take action. So you go 1 2 3 4 5 6, and while you're counting, your brain is then saying, actually, the ego is reacting like this. Is this the right thing to react to? And then you react in a different way. Because what we forget is, years ago, if you were like, this is going a bit deeper now. So years ago, we all used to be in, like, not tribes, but we used to be in groups of people. So we would be like, I can hear the wind. We'd be in groups of people. So we'd be in tribes. That's the word I was looking for. So we'd be in tribes, and we would all live together. And your ego was very important then, because if you didn't do something that fitted in with the rest of the tribe, that would mean that you'd be sent away from the tribe, and that would mean you would die. But we don't live like that now. So a lot of what we think and what we believe has been instilled through generations and gone down the lines, and we still have primitive sides of us, and the ego is a primitive side. Because if people thought badly of you, or thought this about you, or thought that about you, that could mean that you were sent away from the tribe and they didn't want you in the tribe anymore, and you'd be sent off and they go, see you later, you're not wanted here. And if you were left on your own, especially in the winter, or your food was very rare, you would end up, the end result of that would be death. You'd die because you'd have no food, you'd have no warmth, you'd be on your own.